It's a big operation around the royal palace in Bangkok. Hundreds of volunteers are cleaning the streets in preparation for a once-in-a-lifetime event. Nothing is being left to chance. The last coronation ceremony took place almost 70 years ago, so it is no wonder that for many Thais, the crowning of King Maha Vajiralongkorn will be the first ever that they will witness in their lifetimes. But the traditions of those ceremonies that they will receive are much older. They have immense symbolic value. Those traditions in the royal coronation ceremony are rooted in Buddhist beliefs with elements from Hinduism and Brahmanism. This results in a unique Thai blend of rituals that have been followed in every crowning in the Chakri dynasty, which has ruled Thailand for 237 years now. Preparations have been ongoing for weeks. In one of the most significant tasks, officials collected sacred water from all 76 provinces to be used in the most important parts of the three-day ceremony. But unlike in Western monarchies, the key moment is not the wearing of a crown.
เพราะฉะนั้นของเราไม่ใช่วินาทีเดียวแต่จะเป็นกระบวนการเป็นขั้นตอนที่ต่อเนื่องกันนะครับเริ่มโดยการส่งพระมุรธาภิเษกเป็นการที่อาบน้ำในที่กลางแจ้งนะครับเพื่อความบริสุทธิ์แต่น้ำนี้เป็นน้ำที่ประมวลมาจากทั่วทั้งประเทศนะครับเสร็จเรียบร้อยแล้วก็แต่งฉลองพระองค์ชุดใหม่เป็นเครื่องแต่งฉลองพระองค์อย่างพระมหากษัตริย์โบราณของเราประทับที่พระที่นั่งหรือพระแท่นองค์หนึ่งที่เป็นรูปแปดเหลี่ยมนะครับหน้าที่นั้นจะมีผู้แทนของทิศทั้ง8พ่อถวายน้ำอภิเษกนั่นแหละครับเป็นนาทีสำคัญที่ละ
About 1,200 people have been rehearsing the largest part of the coronation ceremony, the procession of the new king around the old part of Bangkok. He will sit on a palanquin carried by soldiers. An undisclosed number of security personnel from both the police and the military will be deployed to keep the procession and the 200,000 expected onlookers safe along the almost 7-kilometer-long route. The procession will be the most visible spectacle of royal pageantry that hasn't been seen in decades. While much has changed in Thailand since then, the coronation of the 10th king of this dynasty will be used by the monarchy to demonstrate the continuity of this institution and its traditions.
การมีพระราชพิธีอย่างนี้ผมว่าเป็นการรื้อฟื้นขนบเป็นการทำให้เราสามารถรู้จักตัวเองมากขึ้นสิ่งเหล่านี้ผมว่านอกจากความปิติยินดีความปรับปลื้มว่าเรามีพระเจ้าแผ่นดินองค์ใหม่โดยสมบูรณ์แบบแล้วเนี่ยความรู้ต่างๆที่ห่างหายไปที่มันอยู่ในตำรับตำราแต่ไม่ได้ปฏิบัติจริงได้นำมาใช้อีกครั้งหนึ่งเพราะเป็นการต่ออายุวัฒนธรรมไทยของเรา
The end of the royal coronation ceremonies will take place on this balcony at the royal palace. Almost 70 years ago, King Bhumibol Adulyadej appeared on this balcony to address his subjects for the first time as the newly crowned king. His son, King Maha Vajiralongkorn, is expected to do the same as well, as workers are tirelessly preparing this place around the clock to make everything look perfect, as a new era will begin on that day. Saksit Sombat, CNA, Bangkok.
For more, we're joined by Dr. Bruce Lockhart from the National University of Singapore. Bruce, we don't know much about the new monarch. He does seem to have a different profile from that of his father, King Bhumibol. Tell us a bit more about him, as well as how he's being viewed by the locals in Thailand.
Well, of course, he had a very long time in preparation. It's a bit like Prince Charles in the UK. And so in some respects, he's very familiar to people, but in other respects, he is not very well known because this king has been a very private person. And he has kept much of his life and his family life private. And so I think that for many Thai people, they know him visually, but I think that he doesn't really have a strong public persona yet. And I think for most Thai, probably they don't feel the sense of intimacy that they felt with his father over the long reign. So I think that that's something that he's really going to hopefully need to work toward.
Bruce, despite this almost reclusivity, if you can describe it as that, he has managed to shore up control of the Crown Property Bureau. That's estimated to be worth some $40 billion. That would make him one of the world's wealthiest monarchs. What were the motivations behind that move, and how has it been received in Thailand?
Well, I personally don't necessarily see this as quite so significant because most observers have traditionally taken the wealth from the CPB and ascribed it to the royal family anyway. And this is a kind of a reversal of a process that took place several decades ago when the first government came in and kind of took over the money and took some of the money away from the royal family. I would argue most people have traditionally felt that the money that was under the Crown Property Bureau was more or less the royal family's to dispose of. So in one sense, this is sort of personalizing it for himself, but in another sense, it perhaps may not really change that much.
King Vajiralongkorn did make his views on politics heard recently. I mean, he stepped in when his older sister put a name forward as a prime ministerial candidate. We again heard from him on the eve of the election when he urged Thais to vote for, quote, good people. Is this, you think, a flash in the pan, or you think it's more predisposed to politics, perhaps?
Well, you have two very different kinds of situations there. One is a very specific intervention and a very specific pronouncement on an issue, and the other is a more general sort of exhortation. The second one is what his late father did much more. The first one was a bit more rare, and I think the first one was very much in response to these specific circumstances. But his father, King Bhumibol, was very much known for, in his speeches, in his public comments, making these kinds of exhortations. So I think that to a large extent he wants to follow in his father's footsteps, and he would certainly feel free to give these kind of public exhortations and advice for people to follow in very broad terms.
So Bruce, this coronation comes right off the heels of his marriage to flight attendant Sutida, this 40-year-old lady who was his fourth wife, of course. Can you tell us anything about her and his decision? Why now?
Well, of course, her background is that she was originally a flight attendant in the airways, and then at some point they got together. I think that he felt very strongly that now that he is going to be crowned king, that he wants to have a queen. And so this is really starting a new stage of his family life, to put her officially in front of the nation, in front of his subjects, and say, this is my wife, this is my queen. And I think the timing makes a lot of sense.
Bruce, thank you very much for that perspective. And I'm sure you'll be watching, we'll all be watching over the next few days as Thailand goes through this historic coronation. We've been speaking there to Dr. Bruce Lockhart from the National University of Singapore.